people are working full time with upwards of 6 to 8 kids in their care for $14 an hour.
At a daycare?
Yes. I was shocked. The very first childcare one that we took on, they were able to pay $11.05. And she thought that 12 sounded lovely because she was only making like $10.50.
That's crazy.
I know, at a facility in Appleton. So like a decent sized childcare center in Appleton. I'm like,
and you're responsible for a whole classroom.
Right. Like, holy cow, like for 8 hours. So what's on the agenda today? I feel it's been a heavy week.
It has been a heavy week.
It's been a heavy week.
You learned anything this week?
Did I learn anything? Yeah, that self-direction is in fact not for everyone.
That's exactly what I learned. I'm like, wow, now we have to go back to episode 1 and say, scratch that.
Scratch that. Apparently
Never
not
mind.
for everyone.
Apparently not. And it's not anything new. It's just something new to us that we've learned. And I guess we shouldn't assume it's for everyone. But self-determination
is for everyone.
Yes.
Self-direction. You must have a nursing home level of care.
Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah. No one, apparently.
No one.
I mean, I worked for the company for 3 years and did not know. And you were an IRIS consultant and you didn't know. So like, wow.
Yeah.
The MCOs didn't know.
No. Something new.
I know.
We learn something new every day. Yeah. We learn something new every day in this world.
Yep.
Usually for the good.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
That one was frustrating. But I kind of it was a lower blow once I realized it affected very few people. It's actually in long-term care must be somewhat rare if it only affected us by that small number. Yeah. So that was encouraging. But at the same time, for the individuals that it did affect, my heart breaks.
Yeah. Because what does that mean for them?
Well, for the ones that affected on our caseloads meant they have to fire their staff.
Yeah.
Which is heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. To have somebody call and say, I'm getting fired.
Yep.
Okay. What happened?
Yep.
Yeah. And we, just like anything, any policy, it's open for interpretation, right? So immediately we interpreted it different than everybody else. We're like, does this affect everyone under this certain code? What happens with all of these individuals? How do you go from receiving services to not receiving services? What do you do to make sure you can still live independent in the community without having to go back to any type of residential placement? Like, what does that look like? And you can really go down a rabbit.
Oh, I fell down a rabbit hole. I told you I didn't get much sleep. I was like I was desperately trying to figure it out and like where the hole was.
And the more you search, the more you learn, and the more.
And I did.
Google can be frustrating at times.
You know, and it was frustrating because I actually couldn't find a whole bunch.
Mm-mm.
It would give me like 5 or 6 things that I could click on. I actually had to go over to the socials, and I went on like the fast forward something. I went on their website.
Mm-hmm.
I signed up for a couple of webinars on the funding that's getting cut right now, so I can get a bit of understanding of that. So I actually had more luck on the socials for trying to figure out like what is happening within the industry right now, or within the government that's changing everything. And there are actually some things, even though we determined that this was not related to a cut, there are things happening
down the pipeline
that they're preparing for to on such a large scale that they're having meetings weekly about the funding cuts so that everyone is prepared for what could happen.
Are them meetings public?
No, yes, and they're all webinars, so they're all online.
So we could probably sit in on them and listen to what's going on.
Yeah, and just start to understand it. I'm just reading it. Like, there's no way I'm going to understand this right away. This is going to be something that I have to immerse myself into and really, really, really figure out, because it's all political.
Yeah,
it's all legislative. Like, it's stuff that like is going to take brain cells to really understand.
Absolutely. That's when I'm listening in a lot of that. I truly don't understand a lot of it. It's just gibberish to me until they start talking like self-direction and things that I can put the puzzle pieces together. But others, I have to do the same thing. I have to research. I'm like, what does this mean though?
Yeah, and I want to see the whole bill in its entirety. Like they talk about like H207, you know, like, oh, okay, what does that mean?
Right.
And they start breaking it down and like the little things that it's going to pull out. Yes. And then how it will never make sense to me that a bill can go to the floor for a vote and they put extra stuff in it. so that if you want this thing, then you have to pass 18 things.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? And that's how a lot of these things pass in the dead of night.
Yeah. Behind closed doors. Yep. Nobody truly understands it until it starts to affect them or yourself or...
Yeah, because somehow, way, shape, or form within this funding stuff that's going to impact the Medicaid stuff is also somehow involving food share. And so people are really up in arms right now on the socials about food share. Apparently, your work requirements going up for food share. And so, of course, then that's affecting our population because they're like, well, I can't work. But not realizing that that doesn't really change. Like, you have a disability determination. So, like, there's just a lot of chatter.
I feel like systems don't talk to each other. At all.
Yeah.
This system, and then you get stuck in this cycle, right? Like you can't have so much in your account. You have to spend down. You can't make too much, others you lose this benefit. And you almost get stuck in this cycle. And then they change it as soon as you figure it out. But yeah, this system is not talking to this system whatsoever.
And no one is asking the people that it impacts.
No.
Nobody.
And that's the thing. It's anyone making these changes, making these rules, changing whatever, they have no personal ties. I'm going to assume they have no personal ties, just for the fact that the individuals in our community that we work with, what does that mean for them?
Yep.
If you're cutting services, if you're cutting budgets, if you're cutting anything, how does that work for them? And how do they have to adapt to it?
And what's the path forward then?
Right.
Because their disability doesn't change.
No.
Their ability to get to work didn't change.
No.
But all these changes are affecting how they're going to do life. And they have to.
They have to.
I went to a conference. Goodness, what conference was it? I don't remember. Oh, it was probably one of the autism ones. It was before I worked here. And the keynote speaker was talking about, he had a twin sister and they both had a disability that led them to being in wheelchairs and needing a decent amount of care. That first wave of cuts that happened probably 10, 15 years ago, when everyone was losing like massive amounts of care hours, this individual passed away because they weren't receiving care and they went septic because they weren't getting care, and the things that happen when people are wheelchair bound. But this individual went as far as getting a G-tube placed because it was easier to be fed that way than someone showing up to cook them food.
That's heartbreaking.
I know. And it stuck with me. And that was a very long time ago that I experienced that. And I'm like, well, if that is not a call to action, but that event for me was already so long ago and nothing has changed. Like, care hours are still getting cut. So, and people are still choosing really crazy things to be at home and independent.
Yeah.
What is the bill that just passed?
Goodness, I would be lying if I told you.
Okay.
It's I think it's the Big Beautiful. I think that's what everyone, right? Was it the Big Beautiful bill?
I believe so.
That's kind of trickling into what we're doing. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that I know there's some other stuff that's going to the floor. Something starts with an H that I did read about. But I think what's impacting it is a lot of the DOJ investigations. I know it's impacting housing.
Yeah.
It's definitely impacting housing.
Yeah.
But kind of in a good way, because there is a lot of fraud and misappropriation and waste going on there too.
Absolutely.
So I can't say it's all for the bad, but the stuff that's impacting our members from the Medicaid cuts is definitely going to be devastating.
And I think it's a lot of, there's just uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty as to what exactly that meant when it did pass. So I feel like things are just going to keep coming out of the woodwork as we keep learning about it and understanding it. Because I've been watching it and just following as best as I could. But again, I don't truly understand it. And a lot of it I feel is up for interpretation. Because a lot of things are purposely vague.
Very.
And it's like, all right, well, so I have no problem reaching out to somebody and be like, hey, can you please help me understand this better? Because I'm not going to pretend like I understand it. I really don't.
No, and I've always been that personality type. Like, my ego's never been so big that I'm afraid to ask for clarification. I truly don't understand what you're talking about. Like,
me either.
Help a sister out. Like, I'm okay then. And once I have a little bit, I can go do some more research on my own. But I know, I'm
guide
totally
me in the right direction. And I'm okay to look stupid.
Yep.
In
And
the
that's
moment.
that has come up a lot this week for us. Like, goodness, like
It has.
reaching out to our payer sources and saying, hey,
What does this mean? Help me understand this. What exactly does this mean? And it's not even how does it impact us? It's how does it impact the individuals that get the services? Because that at the end of the day is what matters. It's how, and they're coming to us and be like, what just happened? I'm like, we have no clue.
Yeah.
We have no clue.
You were
But
just at my
what?
house like 8 hours ago. What changed in the last 8 hours? I don't know.
We'll see if we can find out.
Yeah. We'll ask around, figure it out.
And the hard part is we don't always get, like we sometimes will get a message and it'll be very abrupt and that's that. And we don't get explanation. And it's like, oh, okay. It's part of the system, unfortunately.
It is.
I think in any system, you have pros and you have cons. Self-direction isn't.
It's not perfect.
No.
None of it is. It's just not perfect.
It's an amazing program. It's just
not perfect.
It has flaws just like any other system.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It has rules and
we don't always agree with the rules, but if you want to work within the system, you have to follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very black and white in that. My processing on that. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Maybe I'll start listening to the webinars and seeing what I can pick out, but having people and having guests join us to truly share their stories and tell everyone how it impacts them, good and bad, I think will be vital.
Yeah.
The ones that live it.
Yep. Lived experiences are so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I was at the job fair this past week, I talked to, it was a DWD job fair, so there was definitely a population there that was coming from a certain area. And so it was just so neat just to talk to them about their own lived experiences and how it's translating into like the jobs that they're seeking. It was just such a fun time.
Yeah.
I'm
glad to hear that job fairs seem to be making a comeback because COVID hit and job fairs went away, right? The ones that I went through during COVID or after COVID, they're very low attendance. There wasn't a lot of interest. I had one person come up to my table and said, I'm just here for the free stuff. I'm like, okay. So
I'm hopefully optimistic because if it is in fact making a comeback, I am here for it.
Yes.
That was so fun. It was so fun to talk about our open positions, to be able to talk to people in general. It was great. Mm-hmm. And the turnout was amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I feel the industry, not even the industry, everything seems to shift, right? When did it happen where all of a sudden the industry shifted, where people no longer gave proper notices for resignation? We got into this no call, no show system.
Yep.
Where when did that become okay? Right.
And I'm just like racking my brain. So I've been recruiting caregivers specifically for probably close to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't always like this. The beginning part of my career, I had caregivers bursting out of my ears. Mm-hmm. Caregivers are going to be caregivers, but like they were plentiful and they were excited to come to work. Mm-hmm. And they were excited to work with the populations that were being served within that facility. Yeah. There was a better work ethic by far. I don't know when it changed exactly, but definitely did. And only thing that I can go back to where it was like such a stark, this happened then, COVID.
Yeah.
COVID changed the landscape for caregivers because they were making so much money.
Yeah.
So much money with incentive pay.
Yep.
I mean, some of the facilities that I was helping to staff back then, they were getting what paid a good wage already. So I think it was like $16, $17 an agent, like from the agency. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, they were getting crisis pay.
Yeah.
So they were making upwards of $10 an hour in crisis pay. And then they were getting extra pay from the facility for show up pay. So they were getting paid for like passing meds or working a 12-hour shift, working a 14-hour shift, working on the COVID wing. They were making so much money.
Yeah.
So much money. And they also became very powerful.
Yeah.
They got to call the shots. You want me to show up? This is what it's going to take.
Yep.
And that's the first time in my entire career that I would have a caregiver on the phone and I would be like, can you come pick up for so-and-so at this facility? And they'd be like, what are you going to give me?
Yeah.
And there was no hesitation.
No. You were almost held hostage at that point.
We were. And so for me, like, I can definitely say COVID changed the landscape. Yeah. But in all fairness, I think it changed before then.
Yeah, I would say, so I started recruiting in 2008. And at that point, we didn't rely solely on the job boards. It was a lot more community networking, people walking in. A
lot of website searches. Like we would get a lot more like organic website visits.
Yep. And then probably 2016, 2017 is when I started noticing the no-call, no-shows. And some companies started putting it in their policy. You have up to 3 no-call, no-shows before you're terminated. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, we've always had, I can't think of a company that didn't have that.
I would be like, I guess my standards were a little higher. I'm like, if you can't show up to work and you don't have the courtesy to call me, you're not interested in working.
Yep.
But then whatever shift happened, it was like they could walk off the job here and go down the street and get hired the same day and start working again. So that power did shift. It went from an employer market to an employee market, just like with real estate, right?
Yeah, I think the craziest thing that I realized when we were in those earlier days of the shift is that, yes, caregivers could literally like walk off your job, even get fired for cause.
Yep.
And they would be employed within 24 hours. And what was crazy about that is that they could be onboarded, background checked, go through orientation, and do standard precaution, hit the floor within 24 hours. Like, because I used to do it. We used to be able to do it very quickly and would get people working on the floor. And they would jump ship and get all of their CBR certs for free. They get paid, actually. It's not for free. They got paid to do it through the company because we brought all that stuff in-house. They'd get paid, take those certifications down the street.
Yeah. And then some of them paid you more for having the certifications.
Correct. Well, and then you were paying them $16, $17 an hour. They'd go make 20 as a med tech because you just got on through med training.
Yep. To me, I would say that is one of the biggest downfalls that everyone in the industry is working towards to better is onboarding process and getting them onboarded faster in a more timely manner. And I really like the fact that some of our contracts are pushing collaboration for that because everyone has to work hand in hand, especially in this industry. If we really want to make self-awareness about self-direction, that's something we need to onboard faster.
Way faster. And again, talking to these fiscals, bringing them to the table will help so much because I still don't understand why we can't do it. Yeah. I mean, when I was onboarding people, I wasn't onboarding 20 people a day. So like, I will give them that. Like maybe I could not have onboarded 20 people a day. Okay. But like, can we do like 3 days?
Yeah.
Because I could definitely, like when I was at the staffing agency, I was onboarding 3 to 5 people a day. That was normal, and doing one-on-one orientations, doing one-on-one standard precaution. So it can be done.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess they're doing the whole state of Wisconsin. Some of them are doing multiple states, not just the state of Wisconsin. I can just imagine how many land on their desk per day and what that onboarding, and we don't truly understand.
Exactly,
so
and that's like where that understanding comes in. Like, because if you show me and tell me, I will have so much more empathy for that process.
Yeah,
because everyone knows what it's like to like have a mountain this high and there's only 24 hours in a day and like I only work 8 of them. Like I can be empathetic, but I also am really frustrated when we get. I mean, we did end up losing the caregiver in Appleton that's been onboarding for 3 months.
That's crazy. There's a dynamic there for sure.
Yes.
So it's not all on the fiscal.
Yeah, definitely not.
No, there was a lot of different moving parts and dynamics, but it's still. Yeah, it's a system that, again, it's flawed in some areas, but with everyone working hand in hand and working together, I truly believe that's a system that we can lock down.
Yep, because it's a good one. I mean, being able to choose your own care staff is just so important.
It is.
Like who's walking into your house is just so important, and not to mention that even though we complain often about how slow this process is. The agency staffing, it's not any faster. No. They don't have caregivers readily available a lot of the time. So they're also recruiting when they get new contracts, which can be a process. So it's all, you pick the best of the evils. Like you just pick what's going to work best for your situation, your family, your timeline.
Yep. There was a referral process that somebody was walking me through. And one of the questions was, do you have staff readily available or do you need to hire for this? So I'm like, wow, that's a great question to ask at the referral time versus here, I'm going to send you the referral and you're going to go do the assessment. And then you're going to come back and say, well, I have to hire staff for this. So then it gives them that choice. Are we going to continue down this path or are we going to look for a different path until that comes?
Yep. And I think a lot of that too for on the member side is that you don't know what you don't know. Because we actually just did a referral for, he's an adult now, so he's just transitioning. And he's like, all I've done so far is meet with people that can't help me. Because they're trying, it is because they're looking for someone that can come in and do daily living skills training on the adult side, which is a little bit more challenging than the CLTS side. And I'm like, gosh, I can empathize with that. Like it is like you end up doing. He's like, because he was very scared that our services were going to be the same. That we were coming to the table and we were saying, this is what we can do, but we have to staff for it. And then nothing happens. And I'm like, that is not going to be the situation. We're getting right to work. Like we're going to immediately. But I understand that, because a lot of people have probably come over and said, this is how we can help, but we have to staff for it. So we'll see it in a few months. And then their stack of paperwork gets deeper and deeper. And the next thing you know, you haven't been contacted in 6 weeks.
I had a very interesting conversation this week, and it was eye-opening that a guardian was saying, I did not know how to read a budget. Nobody taught me how to read a budget. And I'm like, that is interesting. Because unless we're involved in that situation, we would provide education, we would provide mentoring, we would look through it, we would call the fiscal agent together, we would help with that. But there's a lot of steps in self-direction that they don't have education on, or they don't understand, or they don't truly understand the process.
And there's not a clear-cut resource that I've seen anyway that breaks it down in like digestible steps. Right down to the code's usage. Right. Like they're just told that your staff's going to punch in under 5130. Okay, but why? But why?
What does that mean? They don't even understand sometimes what tasks all fall within that code.
Yeah, we just got asked for one of our new referrals if we could send a list, and I can pull the DHS list, but it actually is different through MCO to MCO. Like one of the ones, they're only utilizing 5135, and they're just rolling everything, which is supervision.
That's
companionship.
A supervision, right?
And so it's just odd, and I questioned it, and I'm like, this doesn't seem right, but okay, because they were wrapping ADLs, IADLs, and supervision companionship into the one code.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then with another MCO, they're literally down to the 0.25.
Down, yes.
Like this is your authorization.
Under your codes.
But they're not telling what it means. And yes, as far as the budget, I can say from a personal experience, I've never seen mine.
Never seen your budget?
Nope.
How do you have control over your budget if you've never seen it?
I don't even know how with my original, I'm not 100% sure how we got to the numbers we got to, because I have a nursing home level of care individual in my care. So I'm not exactly sure how we ended up at that end number, let alone like what all's being authorized. And like I guess if I have seen like the printout that they send out with the review. So I suppose that probably is the budget. But did anyone ever sit down with me and say, this is your master number, this is how much you get for this human? No one's ever said those words.
Interesting. So that's probably a dynamic that's missing in this world, is you have it under self-direction. You're supposed to have full control and choice over your budget on who you hire, how much you pay them, under what codes, but you don't have knowledge or education as to what that budget even is.
And I would go as far as saying that there's really not, they make you do like an assessment that they determine, they put it into a tool and they tell you how many hours, but they don't actually ask. In my experience, my personal experience, I ask like, how much time do you think you need for that? Like, because a person in a wheelchair that uses a very unique bathing chair is going to take a lot more time than someone that can step over a bathtub.
Yeah.
Like that's a very different bathing situation.
Interesting. I'm not too familiar with the whole screening process. So to me, that's interesting because one of the individuals that we talk about often, we've never understood the screening process for her.
No,
ever. No. And so I'm not knowledgeable in that. I don't understand it. I don't have a true understanding about how these numbers come to play. We're always behind the scenes as
and
to.
it's definitely some kind of a tool. Like it's a tool. It's definitely, it's a program that breaks it, that guesses essentially. Cause that's what I think comes down to. Cause like I think I'd said another time is like my last straw with my situation was like saying, why do I have a person who has a nursing home level of care assessed by you and I'm fighting you to get an hour of like community engagement for this person or transportation? Like I'm really struggling to understand like why I'm fighting for this. And they weren't able to tell me because it's not a human decision.
Oh, because it goes through the tool first.
It's a tool.
So whatever comes on the outside of that tool determines what they're eligible for.
Yep. I know. It is all very interesting. And I'm learning in my personal life daily. And like my little girls that are much too young to even can be talking about adult long-term care will have it so much better just based on what I'm learning right now. Because hopefully I'll be able to advocate better. Yeah. Should they need it when they're older.
Yeah. Because you did the transition from children waiver to long-term adult.
And it was rough.
I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. And I really would love to have somebody on here to explain, like, what does that look like? What type of supports does that look like? And that was one of our goals, adding the children waiver CLTS to our contract base so we can maybe help with that transitions, having someone familiar to stay with them through that transition.
I think our involvement is going to be life-changing for the population that will age into adult long-term care. I really, really, really think so, because we can already start educating them on the language difference that's going to be the transition, which is where everything breaks down.
Yeah.
So I really think they're gonna have a leg and foot up, or leg and a hand up in the situation, because if we're engaged long enough, we can really help them understand what to ask for, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And no one is coming to you saying, this would really be helpful for you.
Right.
Because it costs money, so I'm not going to tell you about it.
You're not allowed to.
Yeah. Like it's going to, drain your budget. So like, they're not coming to the table and being like, you're really struggling in this area. Like, I can't even tell you. I know for sure that I said it 3 times in my situation. I am really overwhelmed. And there was no solution offered. Is there a solution? Absolutely. There always is.
Yeah. What type of education goes into that, though? When you're making that transition, like, what type of education were you offered or provided as to this is what's going to happen next?
So I met with ADRC to choose like the providers that I wanted to work with. They essentially, they're very helpful and very nice, but they essentially come with a folder of information that's findable online.
Okay.
They too have to be very unbiased. So they can't be like, don't choose this one because I've heard bad things, or because they're under state investigation, or they're in a state plan. Like, they're not able to say those things. So you're completely enrolled in realizing that the fiscal you just chose is under a state review, because they can't. So it's essentially the stuff that's findable online. And then from an education standpoint, I don't feel like I received a whole bunch, because I received education on what was available. That is true. If someone's super green, it would have been all brand new to them. I knew a little bit more going in than most. So that part would be very helpful. But I don't feel as though I received a ton of information about what programs were available to my son or to our family or anything. And they definitely came in with an agenda too. And I think that's very common within any company. Like, every company has an attitude they all have their own like culture too. So like, they're going to come in with their own ideas and their own experiences. So of course they came in guns blazing with agency and kind of taking control. They wanted to like lock in. I was like, I already know I'm self-directing. So like, like, stop.
But if you didn't know that this program even existed, that's the thing though.
No, and that's what happens a lot. We know this both professionally. On the adult side, they wait to the last minute because we're the last resort. So we're called in when everything else has failed. They burned every bridge. Everything has gone wrong, and now they need someone to come in and make it go right, or at least try to.
I was very happy to hear come this year, there's more of a push for self-direction. There's more education revolved around it on not only self-direction, but support broker services, where in the previous years, we hear a lot of similar stories as to what you just said. It's, I'm out of options. I burned every bridge with all of the agencies. Let's try self-direction, right?
And then what is self-direction?
Right. Well, and that's what we learned even this week. We determined that we have to do a better job explaining and educating people, because telling people self-direction, they don't necessarily understand the term and what that means for them.
Yep. When I was going down the dumpster hole of all the agencies out there on the socials, one thing that I would love to highlight more within our conversation is self-determination.
Yeah.
Self-direction obviously is what we do. It's the world we live in, but really determination, self-determination actually speaks louder to me, because, okay, that is for everyone.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you're functionally eligible for programming, that is for everyone. Kids, adults, all of us. And it's inclusive. It's not just for the disabled population.
No. Everybody has self-determination.
Yep.
Like if somebody asked, how do you explain self-determination? What does that mean? What does that term mean?
What I always say is something to the effect of everyone has the right to make good and bad choices. Yeah. Period. Because we all do.
We do.
Starting at 18, we can all make all the best and the worst of decisions. And the consequences are also ours to own. And that also goes into self-determination. You get to smoke cigarettes. You can drink alcohol. You're going to have the same consequences as your neighbor. So, but that's what I kept popping up as I was in that fight or flight moment looking for resources, is like, oh, it's self-determination.
Yes.
Yeah, I really, really love that, because that's what it is. That you have all the choices to make good and bad choices for yourself.
Absolutely. You're an adult.
Yep. You get to do it. And that it just kills me that not always are they treated like adults. And the more visible the disability, the less likely they are to be treated as if they are adults with the ability to make decisions for themselves. Right down to like what you'd said on the interview yesterday. They turn to you to ask questions. Susie can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's sitting right there.
Well, and we have so many individuals are nonverbal individuals, right? Just because they're not verbally telling you what they want and what their needs are, they have a way of telling you. And when you're sitting in interviews, and that is one of my biggest frustrations, is you're sitting in interviews and they're not making contact with them. They're not engaging. It's just me and you in the room. I'm like, they're your employer. They're the ones. You have to make that connection with them. And he can tell me exactly whether or not, you can tell by his gestures, you can tell by the sounds, you can tell if he likes you, he's going to grab your hand. He likes to smell your hand. Like,
love it.
If he doesn't do that, you're not going to work, you know? But it's one of them things that, right, why it's that dynamic of you are here for them. You're not here to interview with me. So involving every person in that process and allowing them to make their choices, regardless if he can physically tell me that yes or no. You know, everyone's voice needs to be heard. Everyone. It's their choice. It's not my choice. You don't have to impress me. No. Impress them.
Yep. I love that. Yeah, the one thing that woman said yesterday to it during the interview, that was like, it's not relevant to what we do, but it just spoke to the way she will absolutely engage our members, is, do the kids get to be part of the interview process too, because it's their choice and we can't force anything on them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
The kid interviews, the kid referrals, they get me, because kids don't lie to begin with. They tell their true feelings and exactly what they think. Like, if you want to know the truth about something, just ask a kid.
Well, then you just kind of throw some neural spice in there. They'll tell you everything.
Everything, whether you want to hear it or not. Like, down to, they don't like your outfit that day.
Yep. I have my son's entire speaking adult life if I'm leaving the house, I'll go down by him and say, "Buddy, does this look okay?" Because he will literally tell me if it's awful, and he'll be like, "No, that you need to go change." I'm like, thank you. My husband wouldn't tell me that. He was gonna let me walk out the door.
Exactly. I still do that. I'll go down by Alex and I'm like, all right, like, give me the truth. Like, because I'm having a hard time transitioning from these different. You go from skinny jeans to straight jeans to like, I don't know. So as soon as you get one style down, it changes. So I remember I got a pair of jeans. I'm like, all right, Alex, give it to me straight. And then I'll call Aaliyah. I'm like, all right, Aaliyah. Like, one of them, Alex, if he really doesn't care to engage, he'll just tell me what I want to hear and just get out. And Aaliyah will be like, no. Yeah. Like, no. You got to rely on. But what I love about the referral meetings is, especially when they start engaging and start involving you in the things that they like one brought me her Legos and her dolls. And I'm like, this is the best, right? This is the best. And that's what it's about. It's about their involvement. And it really you get to know, like, what are their likes? What are their dislikes? That's just us that we can advocate even better on their behalf.
Yep.
You know,
it makes the phone screen so much easier when you can speak to the family, not like guessing or like, oh, the same generic, oh, it's a great family, you're gonna love them. No, you can really speak to like who they are as a family unit, who they are as kiddos.
Yeah.
They're just the kid referrals are just fun. They're just so fun. And I told Emily, it's like my people. It's like my tribe. So I'm like, I go in and I'm like, oh, these are my people. Like, I get you. You get me. I love this. And I don't often, special needs parenting is very isolating. So like when you actually get to like be with other people that you're like, oh, you get this. You don't get to leave the house either. Like, yeah, you have a fence climber too? Same. Yeah. Same.
You can relate. And that's what I love. And a lot of our team, not only everyone comes from the professional background, but we have quite a bit of team members that come from the personal level as well. So it's relatable, right? And the amount of things that we learn out in the field
it's my favorite. Even just the adults, the way in which they have figured out how to navigate their world, it will never cease to amaze me. Every time walking in, they're like, that's how you do that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like the different showering, the different getting in and out of bed, self-transferring, using equipment that was never meant for them, like ovens and like microwaves that are too high, the workarounds that they create all by their lonesomes.
Yeah,
that's just
resourceful. They're very resourceful.
I just love it, and it's every single home.
Yeah,
every single home I go into, they've got some kind of a setup that I'm like, wow,
isn't that amazing,
amazing. Yeah, and it's necessary. I just wish that for the blind there was more of that, but I digress.
Well, I brought some job posts since we're talking about these amazing families and everything like that. So one of our positions is assisting them with writing these job posts, and really we're working towards involving them so much more, and maybe even doing like first person. So that way, with any job post, whether you're self-directing or you're hiring within any other industry, because the market is so saturated, you have to stand out, right? Your titles have to be a little bit unique, a little bit different, a little bit something to draw your attention, like, ooh, that sounds great. But then your job post together, so just a fun fact, anyone writing a job post, you have 5 seconds to grab somebody's attention. If your first 5 seconds is not there, they're already on to the next one. So that's something as an organization we've been really talking about in training and trying to really keep the individuals we work with involved in the process, because it's their job post, right? So in self-direction, we have, it's full-time, it's part-time, it's a couple hours here, it's a couple hours there. So anyone looking to get into self-direction, really, it kind of fits everybody, right? Depending on what it is. So this is my favorite. I was going through job posts last night. This is my absolute favorite. And I would so interview for this position. Weekend caregiver for Lego loving Minecraft playing kids in Appleton. It is part-time, 10 hours a week at $14.39 an hour. So a warm, welcoming family in Appleton is looking for 2 reliable caregivers to support their 2 sons, both of whom are autistic. The goal is simple: provide the parents with a consistent respite while giving the boys a fun, structured, and engaging experience. Both teens are high functioning. They are verbal. They're social, each with their own unique personality. They enjoy a mix of indoor and outdoor activities, including building Legos, anything Spider-Man, watching Mr. Beast on YouTube, playing Minecraft, and spending outside or relaxing indoors. It's a flexible schedule: Friday evenings, Saturday daytime between 10 and 3, Sunday daytime between 12 and 3, again, 10 hours a week. Where do you find a position like that you get paid for to build Legos and watch Minecraft? How amazing is
I'm
that?
super proud that that one came out of my team.
I know.
So cool.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
So when you're working with families, providing that mentoring and education is vital around where to find staff, how to find staff, what to ask staff during interviews. Like, what type of conversations do you often have with the families when it comes to how vital this piece is?
Very. I think every referral meeting that I've done, we always ask, like, what are they into? What does a day in the life look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
We also talk a lot about, like, what do you expect out of this position? Like, do you expect the dishes to be done, the floors to be swept when you get home, or do you want 2 kids that had a great time and might also be really dirty?
Yeah.
And oftentimes these families are going to say, I'm really dirty. Like, I want them, I'll come home, I'll clean up. We just need to go do what we need to do, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
We always talk about, like, what they like to do, what's going to hold their engagement. We get a lot of dinosaurs, a lot of tablets.
Yeah.
The one family has bungee cords. I just love it. But yeah, I think that's something we talk about at every single referral meeting, is really, like, drilling into, like, what makes them tick and what's enrichment for them.
Yeah.
We have a couple kiddos that are, they're on the spectrum. They will be social when they want to be, but overly trying to engage them is going to make things very hard for them. So, like, sometimes that just means sitting on the couch, and you can do your own thing. We have another house that the mom said that if you're both on your tablets, you're spending time together. If you're sitting in the same space where you can see him and you're both on your phones, cool. That's his socialization. That's how and if he may or may not come over to you, show you his phone, and engage with you that way for short spurts. And so I think it really comes down to, like, meeting these kiddos where they are and what's going to be engagement for them.
Yeah. Well, and also understanding self-direction isn't just for caregiving. It's not just for nurses. It's not such a small pool. It is for anybody. There are some individuals that just need help with the upkeep of their apartment and their house. Coming in and help clean, help going grocery shopping, doing companionship, doing laundry, anything transportation. Relieving the barrier at hand. You have a lot on the kids' side. It's a lot of companionship and childcare. It's not necessarily, and then you have your very vital.
Yeah, the more of our skilled care.
Yes, the skilled care ones.
Or, like, high behavioral needs,
Yep. So when we think self-direction, and if anyone who's looking to get into a self-directed role, you're empowering the member because they're your employer, right? But it's not just a pool for caregivers. This is for anybody who wants to work one-on-one directly, and my favorite term, to fill your cup. To do something that you are going to truly enjoy doing and look forward to doing it with them. There's not a lot of positions that you can find like that.
The last interview that I did, the woman that we were interviewing, she's a retiree who picks up these odd jobs because she likes it. Keeps her busy, gets her out of the house, a little extra money in her pocket. We need more of the retirees coming that want to be out and about to see these positions. Because a lot of the ones that we have, especially our kiddos, it's just being grandma or grandpa. Like, mom and dad just need to leave and go do mom and dad stuff for like a break. And even the most high functioning, well behaved kiddo, I mean, they didn't get the diagnosis for nothing.
Right.
So there are challenges throughout the day that's why we call it respite.
Mm-hmm.
Moms and dads just need to like unplug.
Yeah. Well, and I needed to unplug.
Yeah.
With my kiddos.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, everyone needs to like refresh, refill. Like
you
it's,
need to recharge.
yeah. Like, so you're useless if you're completely burnt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I always, anytime that I find out like a parent is a caregiver, oh my gosh, you do this all day long and then you come home to caregive. Mm-hmm. And because I was there, I get it. But like, I'm like, I know you're burnt. Like, I just know you're fried.
Yeah.
I know you have to be. Like, there's just no way. There's no way that you could be compassionate all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just exhausting.
It is. It is emotionally and mentally exhausting, physically exhausting. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. And we have some kiddos and adults. We have a couple adults too that, you know, they're physically needing a lot of care. So you're breaking. We have a lot of older parents or older guardians that are still caregiving.
Yeah.
And the back-breaking work that it takes to transfer someone, you know, from a wheelchair with a Hoyer or without a Hoyer. A lot of our parents are doing it with their backs. You know, takes a toll too.
It does. Absolutely. Well, and to have what we do, I feel like we do such a service because we get to help. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's my feel good always. Is you go in and you learn about the dynamic and you learn about how they're doing life and you're like, wow, yeah, how are you not burnt out to the max? And sometimes they are, and sometimes they're like, we just do what we have to do to make life happen.
You know what was kind of a newer phenomenon for me? It was for a kiddo, and it was an interviewee didn't show up. And this mom cried. And I'm like, oh God. And it was because it felt like a rejection against her kid. And I'm like, oh, that's different. Our adults don't have that. So this is a parent feeling rejection for their child when someone didn't show up. Like, oh, that burns. And I did, but I also didn't. Like, I think we are very numb to a certain level of recruitment issues. Yeah. I know I am. So like when people don't show up, I don't take it personally. This is the pool that we're recruiting with, and I get it. But when it happens routinely, and yeah, that's a rejection. And like, or like this one would have been like a second interview. So they'd already met the kiddo. So it was just that rejection. I was like, oh, that broke my heart. So like, that's a different part of this process on the kid side, is that it is a rejection feeling when it doesn't work out, or it can be perceived as a rejection. It probably isn't. Right. But perceived rejection.
It's perceived. Absolutely. And we probably are numb to it to a fact because it happens so often. We have a very strict policy as to they have to confirm with us the day of. We don't give out addresses until the day of. And there are people who still confirm and they still don't show up. And you're just thinking, wow, why? Why not just tell us you're not interested? Yeah. But it's, again, a shift. Like, I don't get it. Why go through the whole process and then all of a sudden just not show up for the first day of work that you committed to? Yep.
With no notice, no phone call, no text message. And you in this day and age, you can be so passive. You can send a text message.
Right.
You could send an emoji.
Your phone is attached to your hand to begin with. Come on. Right. I mean, you don't even have to talk to me. Just, like you said, send me a text or thumbs down or like whatever it is.
Give me a sign of life here.
I feel like we hold people to a very high standard that we'll never understand as to why people do what they do. Oh. But we'll never understand it. I'll never get to that point where it's like,
I've got it all figured out.
I still don't understand it.
No, I don't. The phenomenon too of not resigning anymore too. Like exactly. That is, we see it internally, and then we've seen it a ton externally, like in our external positions. And it's like, that's just a new thing too. Like we had one woman that we were interviewing for an internal position that was going to give 30 days. Yeah. Like that's just unheard of anymore. Yeah. And honestly, in my professional career, anytime I've resigned, I've been walked out day of.
Really?
Yep. That's like when you from the administrative level, like you just have to, I think you just have too much control.
Mm-hmm.
You have too much power. And I think that it's a perceived liability issue.
Sure.
So I've always, like, I know it's coming. Like the minute that you send resignation, I just know, like, I'll be clearing my office today. So it's already packed up. That's the normal, but yeah, it's just, it's so weird that that's just not something that's honored anymore.
Right.
And then again, where did that come from? Because it's not, I can't even blame it on young people. It's not a young person issue.
No, it's not generational.
No, because I am seeing work ethic issues, and I have for a long time, across the gamut of ages. Yeah. You get more of like the immaturity, impulsivity from the younger population, but the behavior is the same across the board.
Yeah.
Even the drama within like the facilities, like really, like, girl, you're 55 years old. Like, does this matter to you anymore?
Right. I always tell people when they say, "Oh, I have to give a notice," I respect that. We would honor a notice. We would love it. We respect when people give notice, but we've also seen when that notice happens, people check out as well. So I can understand why, especially over at the higher administrative level, I can understand why. Just protecting.
Yep, everything. So you do have a lot. I mean, there's a lot of HIPAA. I think what's happened in the past, people, and I know it happened at one of my employers, an administrator quit, completely wiped out charting.
Oh my.
They like deleted, they wiped out charting. Because you have, as an admin, you have admin access to everything.
That's just malicious.
Well, you would think it's almost criminal.
It should be criminal.
Yeah, I mean,
it should be.
It's a medical record.
Because that was always one of my biggest concerns. But then, I mean, we have a system where I can go on the back end and just reinstate everything.
Well, that's one reason why we're not quite ready to switch over too.
Right.
We just need a way to.
It's my safety net for if anyone wants to be malicious like that. But I never understand intentions of people, especially ill intentions of people. In a
caregiving industry.
Yeah.
Like, you entered the field, so why are you being so hateful and mean and cruel?
Right.
Like, don't you want to help?
In a caring field.
Yeah. Like, you signed up to help.
Yeah.
But I think there are just exploitive personalities, and they're going to get their own needs met at the expense of whomever they have to take it from.
Or the sobbing stories of how much they care for their residents and then they walk off and not care for your residents.
I care so much. I'm not coming in with no notice. Good luck to you on your knock shift tonight.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Can't even say how many times that's happened.
I know. Self-direction, it happens. It still happens. I would say that from my perspective, though, I do see longevity in self-direction because you're building that relationship. We had this one individual, and they're still together to this day. So it's been 3 years, I would say, but it took a year to find the right fit.
And it's stuck.
And it just reminds me of there's somebody out there for everybody. And this particular family individual, they were very particular, like they had a checklist of you must have a driver's license, you must have a clean record, you must have this, you must live within this mile radius, you must not be a smoker, like, and then you must also enjoy this, this, and this. And we're like, oh, okay. And it was very rural, so it was a hard one. But interview after interview wasn't the right fit, and they found it, and they're still together 3 years later.
That's amazing.
And they're happy.
Yep.
You know, it's sometimes we do get updates like, oh yeah, whatever happened with that. A lot of times we're just kind of left wondering until they come back to the table and
you get
they need help again, and they're like, oh, what happened?
The member participant that we have in Nina that I work with, she reported that she has all of her staff, so that's over almost 2 years now.
Yeah. I do see more longevity in self-direction because I feel like it's more personal. You are working, and they almost become family.
And you're not, because you don't work for a large corporation. There's a lot of small town like feeling to that. Like if you have a sick kid, I feel like there's a lot more understanding. Than working for a company that's like, I don't really care what the reason is you're calling out. You get three chances and you're done.
Yeah.
So there's not that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's more flexibility. Does it suck when you have someone call in? Yes, of course. That's not going to change across the industry.
Right.
But I think there's a lot more understanding when you're dealing with two people
Mm-hmm.
versus a company and a person.
Yeah.
You know, that like life happened. I had no control over the fact that life happened. Well, life can only happen 3 times.
Right.
Yeah.
That's corporate level.
Yeah.
Yep.
Life can only happen 3 times.
It's
Good luck to you.
policy. It's
Yep.
policy. Sorry. Well,
You don't qualify for FMLA, so yep, 3 times.
but there's always a workaround in them policies, because we've had people where it's like you have this amount of call-ins in 6 months. Well, they're down to the wire. Like, all right, I have one more call-in within 6 months, so I get a free pass, and then it's going to start all over again. So there's people that really track that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
But they have more of that flexible, and we talk a lot about that with people, because you're working one-on-one, and we're not creating your schedule. You guys are responsible for creating your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So you have more of that flexibility to be able to be like, hey, I'm running late, or I have an appointment. Can I come in at 9 today instead of 10?
I think we talked about that last time with that, like educating on our end for the participant or the member, and just saying like, if you really like this caregiver, like it's very beneficial to you to have a degree of flexibility if you can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying bend over backwards, lay in bed for 5 extra hours a day, waiting for someone to get you up. But like, if you can wait, if it's a 30-minute gap and she just needs to get her kids to school, maybe it could work. And actually the person, Anina, that was an issue, and they're still together. So it worked.
Yep.
So sometimes you get a little bit more of that give and take when in this program versus like the rigidity of, nope, 9 to 3.
Yep. Another topic that came up this week was HIPAA, of how far does that go in self-direction of, going out and just blasting who you're working for and your employer and where they live and all that stuff.
And it's so weird because like if it was one of our employees talking about community horizons, that's different than talking about the member that you're caring for.
Right. So I think there's a really fine line as to this particular situation. It was the applicant applied. They were doing a phone screen. We don't disclose during the phone screen, even if they ask, like, oh, is this for Jamie? We don't disclose. We just say, we're not able to disclose that. And they can make that determination if it is like, yeah, I'm not interested. We've had people tell us, if it is, then I'm not interested. So please don't send my information. This particular one, we didn't disclose. And then at the time of the interview, so the interview was confirmed, the address was sent, and she goes, oh, this is for so-and-so. My husband used to work for them or work for him. He's great. We absolutely love him. And then the wife, it was more of the guardian, they're like, is this a conflict? It made her very uncomfortable that I never met you. Your husband was great. Absolutely. But why do you know so much about my family?
Truth.
Yeah. And then it brought up this whole situation. They got along great. It was a great interview, but then it came down to, am I really comfortable with this? And what information should you really be sharing about my family? Because it's still an employer-employee relationship, right? And a lot of lines are kind of blurred when it comes to that. And maybe it's just a lack of education on that side. Like, yes, it is personal, but how much information should you be sharing about the member that you are serving?
Yeah, fun fact. That's interesting.
And
it's different because you are reporting to their home. And like, I track my husband on Life 360. We all share each other's locations. So like, there's not a bunch of secrets as far as like where we are going to work.
True.
So
yeah,
like in that regard, like, well, I see you reporting to this address. Like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I think HIPAA in general deserves like its own day because it covers a lot, but it actually doesn't cover as much as we all believe when we say, well, that's HIPAA protected. Is it though?
Right.
There's a lot of people that say that, and it's absolutely not.
No.
I see a lot of people screaming on like mostly like related to like when they're dealing with like police. I'm like, that's HIPAA. No, it's not.
That's public record.
Yeah, that's public record, my friend.
Yeah.
Like, I think people believe that if it relates to your health, that it's HIPAA. No,
it's not.
And not everyone's bound by HIPAA either.
No.
So like, me sharing my husband's information is not breaking HIPAA.
No.
Because I'm not bound by HIPAA with him. I mean, I'm not going to, but like, you know what I mean? Like that. So people are really confused on what is HIPAA and what is not.
HIPAA and confidentiality.
Yep.
They're actually two different things.
Very.
Right?
And one's a policy, one's law.
Right.
So it's just very, very, yeah. But I think from like just like a human decency, respect, definitely should not be sharing personal information.
I agree.
I'm really torn. That's why like I would love to talk about like specific like cool things that I've experienced or like the hard things in our industry. But I think there's a very fine line about what we share so that people remain comfortable with us to be vulnerable with us. And I see that a lot like on the socials, like the nurses and the doctors talk about very personal things that happen between a doctor and a closed door. And like I would be mortified even if they didn't say my name, but they were talking about, I don't know, it's not HIPAA protected. No, it's not breaking any rules, but is it decent? Is it the right thing to do? Right. I feel like that all comes down to like your integrity and your ethics.
And I think a lot of people truly don't understand just the lack of education. They don't understand what they should be saying and what they shouldn't be saying. And it's not malicious. Like most of them, they don't have the intent to go out. It's because they're excited about their position and the person that they're working with. And, they truly do have the best of intentions, but truly understand that I really shouldn't be sharing this. Yeah. Right. We have, and I guess we really don't go through it, do we? Through the hiring process. It goes through...
It's on the Medicaid agreement.
Yeah, it's on the MA agreement form that we go through. But as far as them blurred lines, because we're not the employer on record. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think we're all navigating it fine as far as just being ethical and stuff like that. But there is a blurred line there. We are privileged to a ton of information, though. Like we are trusted with so much information. I'm not going to lie. I don't love going to our members' team meetings. Yeah. Because what is discussed at that team meeting, I always feel uncomfortable. It's not because I've never heard it before. I've done long-term care in facilities as of you. Like I'm very comfortable around commodes and pee and poop and barf and all the things that happen with the body. But my relationship with my members does not revolve around their briefs. No. Like, I'm like, I no longer need to be here. Right. We've exhausted the recruitment end. Like now I just want to go home. And they probably want me to go home because they probably don't want our relationship to be blurred with their brief sizes and their bowel movements either. I typically start the meeting with our scope. And then after that, I'll just excuse myself. And be like, all right, is there anything else? Because you're right. Some of them can take up to 3 hours. And that's not necessarily the best use of their budget either, having us sit through that. No, because it doesn't benefit my recruitment either. Like I learned very little from those meetings. There's a lot of rapport that can be built in those meetings between the teams and I, but like I don't learn anything new to help recruit for them. Yeah. In fact, I think it blurs lines. I think it just makes them feel like one more person that gets to know something about them. Right. And I see that a lot with the older generations. They are so comfortable, like telling you, well, I can't tell you how many pictures I've received of wounds. Oh no. Or things, not my area. No, or things like that. And it's because they are just so used to everyone getting access to their bodies and to their personal information. And like their life period, their house, like they're just so used to it that why not share it with my recruiter? Invasion. Yes. Another thing that we take for granted. And they're numb to it. Like they're like, oh, you're in healthcare, right? Yeah. Kind of. For me, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, we came from that, but like our new housing counselor, she did not. And so like seeing her face sometimes, I'm like, yeah, I forgot you're getting a little bit more of a orientation to this, aren't you? Yeah. The smells walking in and people are naked or sitting on the toilet and like having a full conversation in the shower. Yep. Are we conducting the interview in the shower today? Yes, we are. Yeah, we are. Yep. Why not? Yep. Well, and we have the one participant, and I was like, I was not comfortable with it. She wanted their second interview to be them observing a shower.
Could you even imagine?
It was very
I
unique
understand
to
why.
her. Yep.
I understand why,
Mhm.
like, completely. I'm here for it. Like, I understand why, but I could not imagine having a full stranger that you've met for maybe 30 minutes to an hour before. No, not even a background check done yet. They're going to watch you shower.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, but that is what it means to live as a disabled person. For some people, is that in order to get the care that you need, that is your life.
She was very concerned that people were not comfortable with her level of care.
Yeah, and she also used a very unique Hoyer lift.
Very much so. Yep. And she would do the interview.
She
would
would.
talk to you during the shower.
Oh, she'll talk to you all the entire time. She was wonderful.
Yeah.
But like that is, it's an interesting dynamic.
Yep. And just like you said last week, people are involved in your life day to day in very intimate details. I would not be comfortable with it. I'm more of a private person. Leave me alone. You don't need to know unless I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yep. I was thinking about just after our last conversation, I'm like, I wonder how sick I'm going to let myself get as an older adult before I actually ask for help, because I just don't want to be bothered with people. Like, how sick am I going to let myself get?
I feel like healthcare workers are probably the worst at that, because
bad.
The level of care sometimes.
Well, we all know how hard it is.
Yeah.
Like, none of us want to be burdens because we know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
It's work. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to end today? Goodness.
Where do we want to end? Any tips or tricks you have for anyone, either in self-direction or wanting to explore a self-directed model?
Goodness, where do you even go for education on that? Because you have to have an authorization to talk to us. Goodness, I don't even know. I mean, honestly, get involved on the socials with the self-directed, self-determination platforms to learn more. Definitely a tip. I think when your kiddo is, if you're looking at long-term care in the adult world, I would start researching that. At least they'll tell you a year. Start researching it with 2 years, so you know your options. You know the language difference. Start asking questions. Start going to meetings. Start engaging with the adult population, and really immersing yourself in it, because I think it'll be much less of a culture shock. Yeah, if you're already there.
It's crazy how different the language is and the verbiage. It just, it really is.
Yep. And the attitude that meets you. So like, I will say too, sorry, one more thing before we finish up, but like the compassion that you're met with on the kid side is not the compassion that you're met with on the adult side. Mm-hmm. Because everyone loves a little squishy kid. And it's just not the same on the adult side. Like, it's like the entire attitude, even people working within the arena, like you're just an adult now.
You're an adult.
You're just an adult now.
I'm going to talk to you as an adult.
Yep. And they're just in there, and like there's just no softness any longer. Like, it's just do this. Do it because it's easy for me, so it's got to be easy for you too. Yeah. And that is not the same. It is not same.
No. I would say that was a learning curve for us, is the verbiage. Mm-hmm.
Because what is family found supports on the kid side is self-directed care on the adult side.
Yep. So we had to change up. We had to educate ourselves.
Oh yeah,
we were never told either.
Yep. And I don't think we're there yet. Like, I don't think we've quite mastered it yet. We're better because we took the time to educate ourselves. But there's more to go, because that is the lifestyle of the kids' family and the adult families are so different. Mm-hmm. So even if that's a multi-generational household, it's still operating considerably differently than the kiddos' lifestyles are, because parents are working, they're busy. Also, just the language, the self-direction suggests that I'm going to be in some way, shape, or form involved. Family found supports, not really. Yeah, because that's why they're using us, because they've exhausted their family found options.
Yes, it's outside of the family at that point.
Yeah, so like the language suggests something very different, and than having just one more thing to do, one more thing to handle, one more thing to call, one more thing to read. Yeah,
that's a good tip. I think my tip would be just on the caregiver side, or on the other side of it, applicant side, that anybody looking to get into the field or even want to explore the field, even if they want to give us a call, shoot us a message. We're happy to walk you through.
Yeah. Yeah, especially highlighting those that like looking for that side hustle
Yes.
type income. New or old retirees, I don't care. If you want to be a participant in the community, come on over. Likewise, your high school juniors and seniors.
Yep.
16
Getting
and
into
older.
the field.
Yep.
Absolutely.
These are perfect summer positions, perfect after school positions. A really great way to figure out if long-term health care is for you.
Yeah, I'm excited to spread awareness.
Absolutely.